Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when the road becomes difficult, when the weight of challenges seems heavier than before. Yet many times, those moments are not signs of defeat, but signs that God is preparing something greater for your life. When your faith is being tested, when doors seem closed, and when patience is required, it may be because God is aligning things in ways you cannot yet see. The struggle you feel today may be the preparation for the blessing that is about to arrive, and God may already be moving quietly to change your life. There are seasons in life when challenges seem to appear one after another. The path becomes difficult, obstacles rise unexpectedly, and the pressure feels heavier than before. During these moments, many people begin to believe that something is going wrong in their lives. They look at the struggle surrounding them and assume that they are moving further away from their breakthrough. But sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes the increase in challenges is not a sign of defeat, but a sign that something important is about to happen. Before many blessings arrive, life often becomes more intense. The struggles may grow stronger. The tests may become more demanding, and the pressure may increase. This does not happen because God has abandoned you. In many cases, it happens because you are getting closer to the moment when something meaningful is about to change. Think about how storms often appear before the sky becomes clear again. When dark clouds gather and strong winds begin to move, it may seem like chaos has taken over the sky. Yet those storms often pass and leave behind a calm and refreshed atmosphere. In the same way, challenges in life sometimes appear just before a season of change and blessing. When God is preparing to move in your life, resistance often appears. The difficulties you face may test your patience, your courage, and your faith. They may push you to the edge of what you think you can handle. But these moments also reveal the strength that God is developing within you. Many people assume that blessings will arrive without any struggle, but growth rarely happens in comfort. Growth happens when a person is challenged to rise above their fears and continue trusting God even when the path becomes difficult. Those challenges become part of the preparation for the blessing that is coming. Consider how athletes train for important competitions. Before the moment of victory arrives, they go through intense periods of training. Their muscles are pushed to their limits, their endurance is tested, and their discipline is strengthened. The pressure they experience during training is not meant to break them. It is meant to prepare them for the moment when they step onto the field. In the same way, the unusual challenges that appear in your life may be strengthening your faith. They may be preparing your mind and heart for the responsibilities and opportunities that are ahead. What feels like a burden today may actually be shaping you into the person who can carry tomorrow's blessing. Another reason challenges often increase before a blessing is that they reveal what truly lives inside your heart. When everything is easy, faith can remain shallow. It is simple to believe when there are no obstacles in front of you. But when challenges arise, faith becomes deeper and more real. Those moments test whether you will continue trusting God even when the situation becomes difficult. They ask you whether your belief depends on comfortable circumstances or whether it comes from a deeper confidence in God's plan. Many people discover that their greatest spiritual growth happens during these seasons of challenge. They learn to pray more sincerely, to trust more deeply, and to rely on God in ways they never did before. The challenges may also serve another purpose. They may remove distractions that once occupied your attention. When life becomes difficult, people often begin to focus on what truly matters. Their priorities shift. They begin to seek God with greater sincerity and clarity. What once seemed important may lose its value, and the heart becomes more open to the direction that God is providing. Through those challenges, God may be guiding you away from paths that were not meant for you and toward the purpose He has prepared. There are many stories of people who experienced intense difficulties just before a breakthrough in their lives. At the time, they believed the struggles meant failure. But later they realized those challenges were the final tests before the blessing arrived. The pressure they experienced strengthened their character and prepared them for the opportunities that followed. Without those challenges, they might not have developed the resilience and faith needed to step into their new season. When unusual challenges begin to appear, it is easy to feel discouraged. The human mind naturally focuses on the weight of the struggle, but faith invites you to see those moments differently. Instead of assuming that the challenge means defeat, faith encourages you to consider that something greater may be approaching. The difficulty you are facing may not be blocking your path. It may be the final stretch of the journey before the door opens. Just as the night often feels darkest before the first light of morning appears, the challenges you experience today may be the signs that you are approaching a moment of transformation that will reveal how God was guiding you all along. One of the clearest signs that God is preparing to bless your life is when He begins to change your heart and your perspective. Sometimes the greatest transformation does not begin in the circumstances around you, but inside you. Before God changes the situation you are facing, He often changes the way you see the world, the way you think, and the way you respond to life. Many people spend years focusing only on external change. They hope for new opportunities, new doors, and new outcomes. They wait for the moment when their circumstances will finally shift. Yet God often begins His work in a quieter and deeper place. He begins by shaping the heart. The heart is where beliefs are formed, where motivations are born, and where faith begins to grow. When God prepares someone for a blessing, He often starts by adjusting the direction of their thoughts and desires. What once seemed important may begin to lose its power, and new values may begin to take root. This transformation may happen slowly, almost quietly. You may begin to notice that your perspective on life is changing. Situations that once made you angry may no longer control your emotions. Problems that once filled you with fear may begin to feel less overwhelming. The way you see challenges, people, and opportunities begins to shift. These changes are not random. They are signs that God is shaping your heart so that you can step into the future He has prepared. The blessings that God brings into a person's life often require a certain mindset and spiritual maturity. Without that preparation, the blessing could easily be misunderstood or misused. When God changes your perspective, He is preparing you to see life through a different lens. Instead of focusing only on problems, you begin to recognize possibilities. Instead of allowing fear to guide your decisions, you begin to trust more deeply in God's guidance. One of the first signs of this change is the growth of humility. Many people once believed they could control everything through their own effort. But when God begins to work in their hearts, they realize that life is larger than their own plans. They begin to depend more on God's wisdom than on their own understanding. Humility opens the door for deeper faith. It allows a person to listen more carefully to God's direction and to recognize the value of patience. Instead of rushing toward every opportunity, they begin to wait for the path that truly aligns with God's plan. Another sign of a changing heart is the development of compassion. When God prepares to bless someone, He often softens their heart toward others. They become more aware of the struggles people around them are facing. They begin to care more deeply about helping, encouraging, and supporting those in need. This transformation creates a spirit that reflects the love and kindness that God wants to spread through His people. The blessings God gives are rarely meant to stay with one person alone. They often flow outward to bless others as well. As your heart changes, your priorities begin to shift. Things that once consumed your attention may no longer hold the same importance. The desire for status, approval, or recognition may begin to fade. In their place, a deeper desire for purpose and meaning begins to grow. You may start to ask different questions about your life. Instead of asking only how you can succeed, you may begin asking how you can serve. Instead of focusing only on personal gain, you begin to think about the impact your life can have on others. This shift in perspective prepares you for the blessing that is coming because it aligns your heart with God's purpose. When the blessing arrives, it will not simply be something you possess, it will be something you use to fulfill a greater calling. God also changes the way you see challenges. In the past, difficulties may have caused you to lose hope. Quickly, you may have viewed every obstacle as a sign that something was wrong. But as your perspective changes, you begin to see challenges differently. You start to recognize that struggles can be opportunities for growth. They become moments where faith can deepen and where strength can develop. Instead of feeling defeated by obstacles, you begin to approach them with patience and trust. When your heart begins to change in these ways, it is often a sign that God is preparing you for something new. The transformation happening inside you is laying the foundation for the opportunities that will appear in your life. Before the blessing becomes visible, the preparation inside your heart quietly continues, shaping your thoughts, strengthening your faith, and guiding you toward a perspective that allows you to recognize the purpose and the possibilities that God is placing before you. One of the most confusing moments in life happens when doors begin to close. Opportunities you once expected disappear. Plans you carefully prepared suddenly change direction. Paths you believed would lead to success become blocked. In those moments, it is easy for the human heart to feel disappointment and uncertainty. Many people assume that a closed door means failure or rejection. But in many cases, a closed door is not a sign that your future is falling apart. It may be a sign that God is preparing you for something greater. Before new opportunities appear, old doors often close. What feels like loss today may actually be the beginning of a better path that you have not yet seen. Human beings naturally become attached to the plans they create. When a door opens, we often assume that it must be the right path. We begin to imagine the future come. Connected to that opportunity, we invest time, hope, and effort into making it work. When that door suddenly closes, it can feel like everything we hoped for has been taken away. Yet God sees the future in ways that we cannot. He understands where each path leads, and He knows which opportunities will truly align with the purpose He has prepared for your life. Because of this, there are moments when God allows certain doors to close in order to guide you towards something better. Many people look back on their lives and realize that the doors they once cried over were actually protecting them from the wrong direction. The opportunity they thought they needed might have led them into frustration, disappointment, or a path that did not match their purpose. What felt like rejection at the time later revealed itself as guidance. Closed doors also create space for new opportunities to appear. When one path ends, it forces us to look around and consider directions we may not have noticed before. Sometimes the opportunity that truly changes your life does not appear until you have been redirected away from the path you originally chose. There are moments when God closes a door because it is simply not the right time. You may have the desire and the vision, but the circumstances may not yet be prepared. Waiting allows both the person and the situation to develop until the right moment arrives. During these seasons of closed doors, patience becomes one of the most important qualities to develop. It is natural to feel frustrated when plans do not unfold the way we expected. Yet patience allows us to trust that God's timing is guiding the process. Closed doors also encourage reflection. Closed doors also encourage reflection. When something does not work the way we hoped, we begin to ask deeper questions about our direction and purpose. We examine our motivations, our priorities, and our goals. This reflection can add to personal growth that prepares us for the opportunities ahead. Sometimes God closes doors to remove distractions from our lives. Certain opportunities may appear attractive, but they may not lead us toward the path that truly fulfills our purpose. By closing those doors, God clears the way for the opportunities that will align more closely with His plan. It is also important to remember that closed doors do not mean that every opportunity is gone. Often they simply mean that the right door has not opened yet. The journey continues. Even when one path ends, faith becomes especially important during these moments. Faith reminds us that God is still guiding our steps even when the direction changes, and encourages us to believe that the path ahead still holds possibilities that we cannot yet see. Many people discover that the opportunities which eventually shaped their lives appeared after a door had closed. What seemed like a setback at first became the turning point that led them toward something better. The closed door redirected their path, introduced them to new people, and opened opportunities they had never imagined before. Looking back, they realized that the door that closed was not the end of their progress. It was the beginning of a new chapter. When God prepares to bring new blessings into your life, the closing of old doors may be part of the process. The end of one opportunity may create the space where a greater opportunity can appear. Instead of viewing closed doors as permanent defeat, faith allows you to see them as moments of redirection. They guide you away from paths that are no longer meant for you and move you toward the opportunities that are waiting ahead. And while the door that closed may still stand behind you as a reminder of what once seemed important, somewhere ahead, another door may already be preparing to open, leading you toward a future that is larger and more meaningful than the path you originally expected. One of the most powerful signs that God is preparing to bless your life is when you begin to feel a stronger desire to pray and seek Him. This change often happens quietly, almost without you realizing it at first. Your heart begins to long for time with God. Your mind becomes more aware of His presence. The desire to speak with Him through prayer becomes deeper and more sincere than before. Many people go through seasons where prayer feels routine or distant. They may pray occasionally, often during difficult moments, but their connection with God may not feel very strong. Yet, when God begins preparing someone for a new season of blessing, something starts to shift inside their spirit. A deeper hunger for God begins to grow. You may find yourself thinking about God more often during the day. Moments of silence begin to feel like opportunities to speak with Him. You may feel drawn to pray, not only when you need help, but simply because your heart wants to connect with Him. This growing desire is not accidental. It is often the result of God drawing your heart closer to Him. When God prepares to move in a person's life, He often invites that person into a deeper relationship with Him first. Blessings in life are not meant to replace our dependence on God. They are meant to flow through a life that remains connected to Him. Because of this, God sometimes strengthens a person's spiritual foundation before bringing the opportunities they have been praying for. Prayer becomes the place where your faith grows stronger. As you spend more time seeking God, you begin to understand His guidance more clearly. Your heart becomes more sensitive to His direction, and your mind becomes more open to His wisdom. During these moments, prayer may begin to feel different than it did before. Instead of being only a request for help, it becomes a conversation with God. You may begin to feel peace while praying, even when your situation has not yet changed. That peace reminds you that God is present and that He is listening. A stronger desire to pray also helps prepare your heart for the blessings that are coming. When success or opportunities arrive without spiritual grounding, people can easily become distracted or overwhelmed. But when prayer becomes a regular part of life, it keeps the heart centered and humble. Prayer also strengthens patience. As you seek God regularly, you begin to trust that His timing is greater than your own expectations. You learn that waiting does not mean that nothing is happening. Instead, waiting becomes a season where faith deepens and trust grows. Sometimes this increased desire to seek God appears during challenging seasons. When life becomes difficult, many people begin searching for deeper meaning and guidance. Yet for those who continue seeking God sincerely, those moments of prayer often become the place where strength and clarity begin to grow. Through prayer, you begin to release your fears and burdens. The worries that once filled your mind slowly lose their power as you place them in God's hands. This process brings a quiet confidence that God is working even when you cannot yet see the results. You may also begin to notice that your prayers become more focused on purpose rather than only personal desires. Instead of asking only for specific outcomes, you may begin asking God to guide your steps and shape your life according to His plan. This shift in prayer reflects a heart that is becoming aligned with God's will. As your relationship with God deepens, your faith becomes stronger. You start recognizing moments in life where His guidance becomes visible. Small answers to prayer may appear, encouraging you to trusting Him. The more you seek God, the more your perspective begins to change. Challenges that once felt overwhelming begin to feel manageable because you know you are not facing them alone. Decisions become clearer as you seek God's wisdom. This growing desire to pray is often one of the clearest signs that something new is developing in your life. God is drawing you closer to Him so that when the blessing arrives, your heart will already be connected to the one who provided it. And as you continue seeking God with sincerity and faith, that quiet desire to pray continues guiding your thoughts, strengthening your spirit. Strengthening your spirit and preparing your heart for the moment when the blessings God has been preparing begin to unfold in ways that reveal how He has been listening and working all along. One of the encouraging signs that God is preparing to bless your life is when small breakthroughs and unexpected favor begin to appear. These moments may seem small at first, but they often carry deeper meaning. They are like quiet signals that something larger is developing behind the scenes. Many people expect blessings to arrive in dramatic and obvious ways. They imagine a sudden change that transforms everything overnight. But God often works through small steps before the bigger transformation appears. These small moments of favor become reminders that God is moving even when the final result has not yet arrived. You may notice that situations begin to shift in ways you did not expect. Opportunities that once seemed impossible may begin to appear in small forms. A conversation may open a new possibility. A challenge that once seemed overwhelming may suddenly feel easier to handle. These moments may not look like major miracles, but they can be the beginning of something greater. Sometimes God reveals His presence through these small breakthroughs to strengthen your faith. When you experience a small answer to prayer, it reminds you that God is listening and responding. It encourages you to continue trusting Him even while the larger blessing is still developing. Unexpected favor often appears when doors begin to open that you did not expect. You may meet people who offer encouragement or support at the exact moment you need it. An opportunity may appear that aligns perfectly with something you have been hoping for. A situation that once seemed blocked may suddenly begin to move forward. These moments of favor can feel surprising because they arrive without warning. One day everything appears the same, and the next day something small shifts in a positive direction. These small changes often serve as signs that God is guiding the process step by step. Just as a sunrise begins with the first light appearing on the horizon, many blessings begin with small signs that gradually grow into something brighter. The first light may seem small compared to the full brightness of day, but it is the beginning of a new morning. Small breakthroughs also teach patience. They remind you that progress does not always happen all at once. Instead, it unfolds through a series of moments that build upon each other. Each small step prepares the way for the next one. Many people overlook these small signs because they are focused only on the final result. They expect a dramatic change and miss the quiet evidence that something is already moving in the right direction. Yet those small signs often carry an important message. God is working even when the outcome is not yet complete. Unexpected favor can also appear in the form of protection. Sometimes you may avoid a problem without even realizing it. A delay may prevent you from stepping into a difficult situation. A change in plans may lead you away from something that would have caused trouble. What looks like coincidence may actually be God guiding your steps. These moments of favor remind us that God's presence is not limited to large events. His guidance can appear in the details of daily life. A conversation, a decision, or a moment of encouragement can become part of the path leading toward the blessing He is preparing. When you begin noticing these small breakthroughs, your faith naturally grows stronger. You begin to recognize that God is involved in your journey. Instead of feeling alone in your struggles, you see evidence that God is guiding the process. Faith becomes easier when you see these small signs of progress. They remind you that the story is still unfolding. The challenges you faced earlier may have been preparing you for the opportunities that are now beginning to appear. Small breakthroughs also create momentum. One positive step often leads to another. The confidence gained from one answered prayer encourages you to continue believing for more. Over time, those small moments of favor can connect together like pieces of a larger plan. What once appeared as separate events begins to form a clear pattern of progress. And as these small breakthroughs continue to appear, they quietly build toward a greater moment of transformation, revealing that the blessings God is preparing for your life often begin with small signs of favor that gently remind your heart that something bigger is already on the way. One of the most powerful signs that God is about to bless your life is when you begin to experience a deep and unexplainable peace even before the blessing arrives. This kind of peace does not come from perfect circumstances. It does not appear because every problem has been solved or every question has been answered. Instead, it appears quietly within the heart, bringing a calm confidence that something good is about to happen. Human peace often depends on external conditions.